Hi. I don't know why that just made me laugh so much. But anyways, hello, I'm Haley. If you know me from before, no you don't. I definitely didn't have like a content creator based like identity crisis and delete every video on my page. I've come to find that what I was doing before, I didn't like doing it. So we're gonna try something different. We're going to start this new journey by doing SamDoesArts is pause challenge. Now, if you don't know who SamDoesArts is, if I could describe him in 2 words, it would be fucking cracked. Because that man is busting out like fully colored, like beautifully rendered, detailed paintings in like 3 hours. This challenge, I already did it because it takes me way longer than that actually to do a piece. This one took me like 2 weeks, I think. To be fair, like I'm busy. I have other things to do. Like this is not my job by any, like anywhere close. I don't make any money off of doing any of this whatsoever. So yeah, I have other things I do and can't just draw all the time. So this took me like 2 weeks. According to the time lapse in Procreate, the whole drawing overall took like 52 minutes, but you have to consider the fact that that's just Procreate literally only records like your strokes and records what you're doing on the canvas. It doesn't record everything in between. So, but from start to finish, this took me like, actually, I think closer to 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, anyway, Sam did a pause challenge, and I thought it would be fun to do it because I really like his content, and I've never done a pause challenge before. So, just realized my camera's fucked up. Hold on. I also have it in a very weird position, so like I'm trying my best to look at the camera, but I don't know how well it's working out. I don't have a tripod for it, so it's literally just on top of my computer screen. And I keep like wanting to look at my screen to look at myself, but my camera's up here. So apologies for that. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. As I already said, I did already do this piece and complete it. And I recorded me doing the challenge, I guess, and recorded what I landed on. So I will cut to that right now from like 3 weeks ago. Never mind. I just went back and looked, and the screen recording I did when I was doing the challenge is very laggy and freezes in a few spots, and it's just not possible to use at all. Usually when I do screen recordings on my phone, they're fine. And of course, the one time I want to use one for a video, you know? So that is just so cool. But I did, when I was doing the challenge, take screenshots of each result I got. And so I will put those on the screen now. Definitely a very interesting combination here. Now as we start getting into this, I'm going to just say right off the bat, you may have noticed, if you are familiar with this challenge or familiar with Sam's challenge in particular, that there is one last category that I did not include in my little collage there. And that is because I didn't put it in the final artwork, because it was the accessories and I did not like what I got. And if you are wondering what I got, I did take a screenshot of it, so I will just put it here in case you want to know. But I felt like before this point, I know it's part of the challenge to basically draw what you get, even if it's like random or doesn't match up well, right? But for me, it was like, you know what, this was a really cohesive design. I really liked the idea I had for it, and then this happened, and I was just like, well, I was excited about it, and then I wasn't anymore, right? And for me, it was just like, I don't really want to draw this thing if it's genuinely going to ruin the entire drawing for me. You know what I mean? So I suppose you could say I failed this challenge. Or at least I didn't exactly do it the way I was supposed to. But you know what? It is what it is. I had a fun time doing it. And I really liked the final result, actually. This came out so much better than I thought it would. Anyone who's also an artist may know what I'm talking about, but, like, sometimes you have those drawings where you feel like something just clicks, right? And, like, genuinely, that's what it felt like with this drawing for me. Like, I busted this pose out super fast. I think it looks really good. Maybe not super realistic with the way I pushed the pose and exaggerated it, but that's okay because that's kind of what I was trying to do anyway. But, yeah, no, I think... I am really a fan of how this turned out. I really, really like it. So, if I fail the challenge, you know what? I'll take that loss. Now, another thing about the final result of this piece that I personally find really funny is that if you know SamDoesArts, you know he does not like furries. Which is particularly funny because he included that possibility in this challenge. And when he did it, he got by himself.
All right, let's see here. 3, 2, 1. Pause. Are you? Oh!
But as you saw in my little collage there, when I was showing the screenshots for my results, I got the bunny suit. And I was like, you know what? I have the opportunity to do something really fucking funny right now. So in this drawing, she has the rabbit ears, and she also has a tail. And it's not part of a costume. She's a furry. But I think I'm the most hilarious person on the planet, evidently. But yeah, sorry, Sam. Actually, no, I'm not sorry at all. I think she turned out really cute, actually. So, now I will say, you can probably see it in the time lapse right now. I had a bitch of a time with this hair. Like, this was the part that I got to, and I was like, man, you're kind of evil, huh? Because I don't know what it was. I've drawn curly hair before. Like, literally the last piece I did before this, I drew a character with curly hair. I think what it is that I tried a different way of drawing it just to experiment a little bit, and it just gave me such a hard time. I had a hard time sketching it, I had a hard time coloring it, and I think I managed to pull through and make it look really nice in the end, but oh my god, the journey to getting there was a little bit painful. I suppose that's my karma for one, not doing this challenge 100% correctly, and for another, making my character a furry when I didn't have to. But yeah, as you can see, I struggled with the hair so bad, I completely drew it, looked at it, absolutely hated it, wound up erasing it and completely redrawing it. And something about this piece in particular, I guess I just wanted to make my life harder than it had to be, because typically in my pieces, I will do a new layer and do the hair sketch on top of that, because hair is something that sometimes it takes me a couple tries to get right, but for whatever reason, I don't know what possessed me to do it this time. I drew it all on the exact same layer that I had the rest of the sketch. So, and of course, this is the one time that I didn't like it and wanted to completely redo it, so I had to go in and like carefully erase the hair and tried to leave the rest of the sketch alone. And like a lot of the time what I will do is, like, if a strand of hair I draw crosses over onto the lines for the face, I will erase the line for the face underneath the hair sketch, so that way when I go to do line art, I don't get confused and, you know, what line am I supposed to be drawing over. And like with the hair, it's not the best example because, like, as you can see here, I did the smart thing that I usually do and drew it in a different color so that it was easier to distinguish when I did the line art, which I did not do the first time because, again, I just wanted to make my life harder this time around. But, like, and some pieces where the drawing is a little more complicated or the outfit's a bit more detailed, that helps a lot for me to do that. If, you know, pieces cross over together, the line that I want to include in the final line art I will keep, and the other line I will erase. However, because the hair I wound up drawing the second time that I wound up keeping didn't exactly like align with where I had erased before, I had to go in and like redraw things and just, yeah, it was a whole thing. I do think it came out pretty well in the end. And like when I started doing the liner, I added some more lines to the hair that I think really just helped it come together. Now, speaking of liner, we're about to cross into pretty quickly here a transition from me going straight from the sketch to coloring, because I decided to cut the line art out. The reason I did that is because my process for doing line art, I really enjoy it and I really like the final result, but it is not fun to watch, like, at all. Because the way I do line art, I am not the kind of artist who, like, I'm okay with, like, having some scribbly lines or the line art, like, not being clean. I much prefer for my own art for the lines to look clean, to look nice, to not have any, like, stray wispy bits anywhere, like, any, like, rough, sketchy parts. I follow some artists who do line art like that, and it looks really nice when they do it, just for my own art. And to be fair, they typically have a more painterly style where they'll paint over it anyway if they make a mistake. I do not. I don't like doing, like, painterly type art. I'm not that kind of... I don't have the patience for that. I don't enjoy the process. I'm the type of artist who likes having line art and who likes coloring within the line art. I suppose is the best way to put it. So I like having my line art be clean. However, I don't have the most steady hand in the world, so I can't just draw a line and have it be perfect, and I don't want to sit there and try to draw the same line over and over and over again 50 times. So what I do, for the most part, is I will kind of, like, sketch the line in again and try to be more neat with it, but, like, I'll go in with the eraser afterwards, and if there's any sketchy bits or anything like that, I'll, like, clean them up with the eraser, and if there's parts of the line that need to be filled back in again to make it look more smooth, I'll go in and redraw them. And so it's basically just me drawing in a line and then editing that line until it looks the way I want it to, and sometimes it can take me a few minutes to get one line to look the way I want it to. So, and for some parts of the line art, what I'll do is duplicate the brush I'm using for the line art and raise the stabilization so it's a more smooth line. However, I don't like doing that for the entirety of the line art for the whole piece, because there's some, like, sometimes I can't get the line to be, like, the shape I want it to because it smooths it out too much. So, like, I'll do that for, like, hair, because the way I do line art, I don't want to spend all that time trying to draw hair like the other way I do it. So I will just do that with hair, but, like, for the face or, like, the rest of the body, I will do it the more sketchy way where I go back and edit it afterwards. I feel like I'm not being very eloquent right now or explaining things very well, but hopefully you kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, and with the way Procreate time lapses are, where, you know, it's this pulled back view of the whole entire piece and there's no zooming in or anything, I realized watching back that there are points where you can't tell that I'm editing the line because it's in one little part of the drawing. And so there are, I kid you not, like, up to 5 minutes at some points where it just looks like nothing's happening. And that's just not, that's boring to watch. That's not fun to watch. It was fun for me to do, but viewer experience wise, it would not be good. And the line art stage in general, I think this video went from, at this point right now, it's 16 and a half minutes, and it was almost 32 minutes with the line art included. So I think line art is probably the thing that takes me the longest out of any part of any of my drawings. So I figured, you know what, it's just me going over lines I've already made and making them look nicer. So it's not really that big of a deal if I cut it out, I don't think. Like, you're not gonna really be missing out on anything. And it will just make the video not be so drawn out. It'll be definitely, I promise you, it is a better viewing experience because the way I do line art, watching it is boring. It really is. I know I got bored watching it back in the video. I just whacked myself in the face with my hoodie string. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. I was bored watching it back, so if I'm bored watching it back, I'm not going to leave it in for my viewers to watch. Because I am the kind of person where I assume my opinion is the majority opinion, at least when it comes to creating my content. Because if I don't want to watch it, and I don't think it's a fun thing to watch, I don't know why I'd keep it in my video, right? Because if I don't like watching it, why would the people watching my videos like watching it? And that's something where maybe some of the people watching my videos would like watching it. But it's better safe than sorry, I feel like. Now, back on the topic of hair and things being hard to watch, I did zoom in for the portion of the time lapse in which I was coloring the hair, because the way I color hair, not necessarily is it like hard to see all the time, but because this character has darker hair, it did wind up being kind of illegible, if that's the right word, from the zoomed out distance. So I did just zoom in on it while I was doing the hair. And who knows if we're really even in that part of the time lapse still, because I spent so long yapping about line art. But I just wanted to point it out so people aren't like, what the heck? Why is it just the specific part of the video that's zoomed in? Because I didn't want to just zoom in a bunch of different spots for the whole time lapse, because I feel like for the most part it is pretty easy to tell what's going on. But just for the hair, and actually I decided to do it for the ears too, just because they're in that same general area and it is, you know, just a little easier to see what I'm doing that way. But I felt like it wasn't necessary for the whole thing, because the rest of it you can tell what's going on pretty easily. But yeah, like for the tail I zoomed back out, and for the background I zoomed back out, obviously. And speaking of which, I have disgraced SamDoesArts once again, because he's very big on not running from your background responsibilities, which is something I am very good at doing. I don't like backgrounds. I don't typically like drawing them. By the time I'm a big like character drawer. I like drawing characters. That's where I have fun, and a lot of the time, by the time I'm done drawing the character, I can't be fucked to do a background, I'm not gonna lie. Some pieces I will. Like, a couple pieces recently, I've done a very simple, like, kind of background, and I'm not, like, the greatest at it, so they're not amazing, but they are a background and not the main focus anyway, so it is what it is. I'm sure I can be forgiven for it. Well, maybe not in this particular case, but hopefully, if he sees this, he'll forgive me. But I actually thought the background that I wound up coming up with was pretty cool. I did wind up having to fart around a little bit, but I think the final result is pretty nice, and I think goes well. I did make the like background like a minty, like a very light, like minty green, kind of leaning grayish color. Because that's how her eyes are in the picture, and I thought, you know, at least tie in that element a little bit better with the final piece by putting it in the background, because it's the only thing in the piece that's not like a dark, like grayish color. Or I guess not like a neutral color, I should say, because like the inside of her ears aren't gray, but semantics, technicalities, whatever. I like the fact that her eyes are the only like differently colored thing in the picture, because it makes them stand out. I think they have like a really cool, like, I even added more of like a glow to them to really like lean into like the cool like glowing effect that's kind of going on. And I wasn't talking about it as it was happening because I was too busy yapping about line art. But I really like how, like, her arms and hands came out. Like, I included the kind of gradient on her arms that was shown in the result I got for the pause challenge. And, like, omitted the gloves in the bunny suit so that you could see that, because I thought that was a cool detail and wanted to include that instead. But with all that being said, this was the SamDoesArts challenge. This is the final result. And like I said, I had a lot of fun with this. I got to let out my inner troll a little bit. And unironically, I really like how this came out. So I feel like even though I didn't technically do every part of the challenge like I probably should have, I think it's a success. And I don't regret leaving the accessory part out, because I genuinely don't think this character would look nearly as good, and I'm willing to kind of forsake the spirit of the challenge a little bit if it means getting a character and getting a final result that I like. And I really do like the final result for this. I really like this character. She might have to become like a reoccurring OC that I draw every here and there, because I genuinely think she's really pretty. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm going to stop yapping now because the time lapse has been done. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope you like the direction I am taking this channel now, because I definitely enjoyed the process of making this video a lot more than my old videos. So I hope you'll stick around to see more, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that may be. Bye-bye!